So I've been doing a lot of research into Dogman. But let me tell you the way I found out about him. Because it wasn't through any freaking interviews or any stories or any TV shows or Monster Quest. I found out about Dogman by seeing one with my own two eyes. Listen, I'm a logger, professional logger, been in the business for 15 years. Worked with all kind of companies. My most recent employer, Evergreen, out of Alaska. Logging is dangerous work. But I love being outdoors, and it pays extremely well. Now, before I start, I'm going to tell you, my encounter was real short, but that doesn't take anything from it at all, because what I saw was absolutely amazing. It's a Monday morning. We're working on the side of this ridge. I'm on the ground, cutting on a tree, when I hear this growling sound over the sound of my chainsaw and through my ear protection. Confused by the sound, I turned Bumblebee off. If you're trying to figure out who Bumblebee is, that's the nickname that I gave to my chainsaw. So now, the chainsaw is turned off, the ear protection is slid up over my ears where I can hear, and now I hear this scratching sound. Clearly the scratching sound like something climbing the trees. Imagine me standing there, these trees literally towering above me, my eyes scanning the trees, when all of a sudden I lock eyes with what looks like a giant wolf. And when I tell you it looks like a wolf, the only way I can describe this is the white wolf from Underworld. That's exactly what it looked like, but it's damn near 75 feet up in a tree, hanging on, looking down at me. Now listen to me, I'm not an animal psychic, I'm not a mind reader. All I know is it looked pissed off. Maybe it was pissed because I was cutting on the trees and I was making too much noise. But it looks at me and growls again. And the only impression I got was, you getting on my nerves. If you keep it up, I'm finna come down there and I'm gonna eat you. It looks me dead in my eyes. I'll never forget this for two reasons. Because it was broad daylight and it was absolutely terrifying. And it stares at me for another 15 seconds. I'm frozen in place, scared to move. Then it turns its head and leaps from one tree to the next. Now, I want to make you understand how far this leap was. We're not talking about 5 feet. We're talking about 25, 30 feet from one tree to the next, uphill, going up the ridge. Then leaps again, and it's gone out of sight. So now I have a dilemma on my hands. This tree is halfway cut. I need to finish cutting it, but I'm scared. So I sit down, start having an early lunch, wait 45 minutes to turn Bumblebee back on, finish cutting that tree, then I carry my back down the ridge and move closer to some of my other co-workers. Now, understand, this is how afraid I was, because the closer I am to my co-workers, the more dangerous it is. It increases the chance of a tree falling on me. But honestly, I'd rather dodge a falling tree than deal with that creature any day of the week. A hard head makes a soft ass. That's what my mama used to say to me when I was a boy. See, I played in the bayous of Southwest Louisiana. When I tell you I was fearless, absolutely fearless. Alligators in the water, didn't care. I would swing from a tree, land in the water 10 feet away, and then swim right back out. But my reckless attitude caught up with me one night, because I wanted to go frogging, and my friends all chicking out on me, saying that the woodsmen were back in the bayous. See, they had heard this from the night fishermen. And for whatever reason, none of those fishermen were going out at night. But I'm 15 years old, invincible, so I get my uncle's flatboat and head out there. Now, if you've never been frogging before, let me explain to you how it works. You ride in the boat with a headlamp on, cut the engines, and paddle across the water, snatching frogs by hand out of the water and from the lily pads. It's about 9:30, and I'm snatching frogs right and left when I hear this tree limb break. Snap! Then another one. Snap! each sound coming from different sides of the bayou. Now I'm looking around both sides of the bayou, don't hear anything else, don't see anything else, but it feels different. It feels creepy all of a sudden, like someone is out there in the dark, laying their eyes on me. That's when you can hear another limb break, but this time it's combined with this whistling sound like something flying through the air. Then bam! A tree limb half the size of my boat slams into the water. And when I say this is close, it's so close to me, the leaves from the branches of the tree actually hit the boat. Now, I got the engine started, turning the boat around, trying to get the hell out of there. And as my head and that headlamp is whipping around in a circle, I get a glimpse of three, count them, 1, 2, 3 woodsmen standing right on the edge of the water. Huge shoulders, no neck, black fur, gigantic pectoral muscles, scared the shit out of me. Understand what was going on while I was distracted by that limb hitting the water. These other three were about to wade into the water behind me. Had I stayed there 3 to 4 minutes longer, they would have been able to swim up to me and I would have never seen them coming. Back home, I go inside and my mama can tell something is not right. I tell her what I saw and she says, son, everyone else is staying out of the bayous at night for a reason. I done told you hard-headed that it's things out there worse than gators in them bayous. Angrily, my mother goes on to explain that had they gotten to me, not only would she had never seen me again, but they never would have found the boat either. And I'll just say it like this. After experiencing that and seeing those things with my own 2 eyes, it created a healthy attitude adjustment in me. I found myself having a deeper understanding of what the hell could actually go wrong in these bayous. I've listened to a lot of Dogman Encounters and stories. Started by listening to the guy with the weird, creepy voice. And then I listen to every channel out there, but not as a fan. Frankly, I think it's weird how people obsess over these animals. I mean, you don't obsess over great white sharks or giant squids or freaking endangered turtles. But when it comes to Dogman, people obsess over this animal. And that's what it is. Nothing more than an animal. How do I know? Because I've encountered it multiple times. And after figuring out exactly what it was up to, I found myself pissed off. It started last year during this COVID lockdown. For the first time in my life, I was laid off and found myself at home being Mr. Mom. And if that wasn't bad enough, my daughter was going through the change. So she was an emotional roller coaster. One minute she's happy, the next minute she's sad. And on top of that, they were homeschooling, so there was no way to escape the sheer madness. While I'm trying to wrap my mind around the situation of me being unemployed, not knowing when I'm going to get another job, and dealing with my highly emotional daughter, Dogman starts with his freaking... You see, we live in Easton, Texas, not far from the lake. It's about 11 p.m. when my daughter comes frantically running into the living room, telling me that someone was watching her through the bedroom window while she was changing her clothes. And I pause here for a moment because I didn't take this too seriously. Number one, this is Texas. Number two, this is a small town in Texas. Number three, people know you don't do that kind of stuff because you will get shot. The nearest neighbor is a half a mile away. So naturally, I think my daughter is being a drama queen. But just to ease her nerves, I get the shotgun and head outside. Hell, the thing wasn't even loaded. I circle around the house. There's nothing there. Come back inside, comfort her, and we go to bed. Now the next day, I just so happened to be outside mainly because I wanted to get a break from being locked down in the house. and I noticed these scratch marks were on each side of the window, like someone was standing there looking through the window but scratching along the side of the house at the same time. Standing there looking at this, I start to think to myself, maybe there actually is something to what my daughter was saying after all. So that day I replaced the burnt out flood light bulbs that I had outside just to give the place some extra lighting. But 3 a.m. that morning, my wife and I are awakened to my daughter coming into our bedroom, scared out of her mind, saying something was outside of her window and growling. So I grabbed my Mossberg shotgun, put on shoes, and head outside, only to discover that the floodlights that I had just replaced had been unscrewed, taken out of the socket, and laid on the ground. Now I need you to understand, my floodlights are 12 feet up in the air. I personally have to have a ladder to climb up there and replace them. So now I'm starting to worry. I head back inside, get my flashlight, come back out, and I'm scanning the edge of the property line. And that's when I first get a glimpse of it. It's up in the tree 30 yards away, and it looks like a freaking werewolf from TV. Gray and black fur, pointy ears that are twitching, huge yellow eyes with these gigantic black pupils. Let me tell you, this SOB is just looking at me like I wish you would point that shotgun at me. Now, I don't know if you ever find yourself in a situation like this where you're facing down something that you're absolutely terrified of. For me, my mind began to focus, and there was this clarity of thought. I was able to see the moisture on its snout, even though it was dark outside. And I thought to myself, you know what? If you take a shot at this creature with this shotgun and it don't work, there's no way you're going to be able to get into that house and protect you and your family. So I turn around, run back inside, close, and lock the door. That night, my daughter spent the rest of that night in the bedroom with me and my wife. Now, as for me, while the two of them were sleeping, I was awake wrestling with this problem. My mind just going left, right, up and down. What is it? Where did it come from? Why is it here? What can I do to protect them? And that's how I started to reach out to people. The very next day is when I started listening to shows, interviews, stories, trying to find someone I could reach out to and talk to about my problem. Now, the issue that I ran into was that everyone wanted me to do some type of interview. And I'm trying to explain to these people, listen to me, I have a problem I need to deal with. I don't want to talk about it. I need to be about it. This is a problem. What can you tell me to do to fix it? So after talking to about 15 people, I learned that it could possibly have been my daughter's menstrual cycle that triggered the activity and caused this creature to focus in on her in a room. And a few days later, I was given a chemical solution, something that you could mix together and spray around the property. So I gave it a try, and sure enough, no more Dogman activity. Then, the following month, when my daughter's cycle first started, I decided to test it. I didn't spray, and we started to hear scratching and growling outside. The next morning, I sprayed, nothing. Halfway through her cycle, it rains. Next thing you know, it's back, scratching and looking through the windows. Everything inside of me wanted to shoot this creature, but I had been warned that shooting it would only make things worse. So I sprayed again, and it left. Now, here's a couple of things I took away from my experience with Dogman. Number one, they're real. And the second thing is, they're clearly attracted to the hormones or the smells or whatever it is that comes off a young woman's menstrual cycle. The situation I find myself in is that I have to keep spraying the wood line around my property. And these ingredients that I'm buying aren't cheap, and I'm pretty sure they're on some kind of federal watch list. But honestly, I have no choice. I keep buying it on Amazon because I don't want that creature coming back to my property. And if, by some strange coincidence, the feds show up at my house and start asking me questions about, am I building bombs or making explosives, I'm just going to tell them straight up, I'm glad you're here. I got a freaking werewolf on my property. If you want to help me with that, I'll be more than happy to stop ordering this stuff on Amazon.
unintentional. Hell, the events of that entire day were just crazy and freaking weird. It all starts at 8:30 a.m. I'm in bed, and I hear what sounds like a truck coming down the road that leads to my property. I roll out of bed, still in my tidy whities, look out the window of my trailer, and see it's my cousin Garth. A few minutes later, we're inside, and he's telling me about this wild night that he had with his friends. They went out drinking, then a fight breaks out, bottles are thrown. You know, normal Friday night hillbilly going on. You could tell Garth and them had been into a little bit of a tussle. Black eye, bruised knuckles, scratches all on his face. And one of the most important things to understand about my cousin is this. He's one of those quiet, crazy types. You know, the kind of person that's easily underestimated, doesn't talk too much, but at the same time, he's extremely violent. So we're sitting there for about another 5-10 minutes of small talk, and he finally gets to the point of his visit. He wanted to borrow $120. You see, Garth didn't want to go home to his old lady after being out all night drinking and then come home broke. So he needed to borrow $120 to keep her off his, and right here's where things start to freaking break bad. I didn't have $100 cash on me. So I tell Garth, look, let's hop in your truck, drive on up to the gas station, I use the ATM machine, get the cash, you drop me back off, and you go home. Should have been simple enough, right? So we head outside, get in his truck, get to the gas station, I hop out, go to the ATM machine, he walks in the door behind me. Now keep in mind, Garth has absolutely no money. I beat him back to the truck, and I'm sitting there waiting on him when he walks out of the door with a 6-pack of beer, hops in, opens a beer, and starts to quickly pull off and drive away. Picture this. We're right there where the parking lot meets the road. And I'm sitting there telling Garth, listen, you want my $120 to keep you from having problems with your old lady, but you got enough money to go in the store to buy beer? And as the word beer is coming out of my mouth, I hear gunfire. And next thing you know, the back window of his truck is exploding, just flying everywhere. Garth hits the gas, makes a left turn, and starts to race down the road. Now, looking over my shoulder, the store owner is standing outside in the middle of the parking lot with a shotgun. And I need you to realize, this is a small town. In fact, it's smaller than a small town. Everybody knows each other. And now we're in a truck arguing. I'm like, Garth, what the hell is going on? And it turns out this son of a has went into the store and stolen a 6-pack of beer. Mind you, I have $120 cash in my hand that he could have used to buy the beer. This crazy bastard decides to steal the beer. Listen, at this point in time, I done had enough. I tell him, Garth, drop me off at home, take the money, and get the hell away from me. 2 hours later, here comes the sheriff knocking on my door. I get arrested, and I'm sitting there. They're questioning me about Garth's whereabouts. The sheriff tells me, look, we done been to Garth's house. We done been to all his friends' houses. We don't know where the hell he is. And if you don't want to tell us where he is, you're going to sit your behind right here until we find him. So there I am, sitting in a holding cell, pissed off for the next 24 hours while they run around looking for Garth. When I finally get out of that holding cell, I'm so pissed off, I head straight to Garth's house. His old lady tells me she don't know where the hell he is, and she's pissed off for him. I go to every last one of his friends' house. None of them know where the hell he is. Now I'm thinking to myself, go on home, sit down, relax, he's going to show up. And when he does show up, I'm going to beat the brakes off of him. Now, the next day I get up about 6:30, 6:45 in the morning. My plan is to head on out to the woods and check some of the traps that I set the day before yesterday. Now, when I finally get to the area where I normally go set my traps, guess whose truck I find parked right there in the woods? Thinking to myself, this son of a has been hiding in these woods this entire time, and I know exactly where to find his ass. See about 400 yards to this. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy Dog Waters coming back at you with another story. Now listen, if you're new to the Dog Waters channel, new to the Dog Waters family, you may not know, but I have my own private website called IamDogWaters.com. This is one of the members only stories that you can find there. You need to sign up to listen to the rest of the story. It's only $4.99 a month, about the same price as a cup of Starbucks coffee. Head on over and take a listen. If not, there's some other stuff coming down the pipeline. But for those of you who are already members and all the new members, head on over to IamDogWaters.com. This update is going to be on the front page. And some of the stuff on the front page currently is getting ready to get archived under the tabs. If it's a Bigfoot story, it'll go under Bigfoot. If it's a Dogman, it'll go under Dogman. All those are about to get archived because more new content is coming out. Head on over to iamdarkwaters.com right now and take a listen.